So this Jiu-Jitsu book was published in the United States during World War II. Hi guys, my name is Joe and welcome to my channel Fighting Words, the martial arts library. On this channel I review martial arts books and talk about other martial arts related subjects. The book I'm going to be reviewing this week is Combat Jiu-Jitsu by Samuel R. Lenk. Now, this book was originally published in 1943, which for those of you paying attention is the height of World War II. So I do think it's a little bit interesting that this gentleman was putting out a book on a Japanese fighting method during the middle of the United States war with Japan. Now, when Mr. Lenk gives his background, among other things, he shows that he has a certificate in Ten Shin Ryu, and that's under Reicher Thornberry. Put the guy's name up here. It's interesting that it is not a traditional Dan rank, like a black belt rank. So I do find that interesting, and I'm sort of wondering if this was, this certification was along the lines of, the traditional, like, Minkyo Kaiden method of certification that we found in Japan before the, Kyu-Dan ranks became more standard. Now, in the intro, we get of course, his biography. We get a brief history of Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. He does distinguish it from Judo, saying that Judo is meant for bodybuilding. I think he means more for physical exercise, but all right, let's roll with it. And of course, emphasizes the deadly nature of Jiu-Jitsu. He will also include a section of, traditional Japanese pressure point illustrations. And in the next chapter, he gets into pressure points themselves, and of course, he goes over acknowledgments. When he goes over the pressure points, it's more of like a modern anatomy chart. He has a photograph, front, profile, and rear of a guy in his undies, and little numbers pointing toward various parts of his anatomy, and a little chart on the side that says, number 22 is this thing, and number 13 is that thing. And this section includes close-ups of the hands, the ankles, and sort of like the face and shoulder, I guess the bust region, perhaps. And these show, again, like modern, like anatomical nerve areas. These are not given your traditional pressure point designations like, liver 13 or triple warmer 7 or something like that. It's like, no, this is a face nerve right here. So on the one hand, I do find that refreshing in that it's not trying to teach you a whole different method of thinking. Chapter 2 of the book goes over various gripping and striking methods. Like, when I say gripping, I mean, like how to grip the digits in order to apply pressure, how to grip the throat properly. When it comes to the striking methods, mostly they're just showing striking surfaces, including an extended knuckle and an extended single knuckle. And he specifically says that you're striking with the forearm, not the point of the elbow, but the forearm just in front of the elbow. And he does demonstrate the difference between a strike and a push. And I think that's very interesting. I've seen forearm strikes in other sources, but it's usually with the lower part of the forearm. If you're striking with this bit, it's almost always showing, strike more with the point of the elbow or thereabouts. After that, we get an entire chapter, chapter 3, dedicated to attacks from a handshake position. He does mention that this would not likely be used in combat, but it is something we start to get this stuff, I think, beginning in like the late 1800s through as late as maybe the 1950s and 60s, possibly even later, where we get, you're shaking hands with someone and then decide to throw a joint lock on them or a throw of some sort. And I don't know why this is so frequent, but it is. It's a little weird to me. Chapter 4 is on come-alongs, and that's, I guess, more along the lines of perhaps police tactics. A lot of these are wrist locks that start with control over the fingers. We also have an udigarami, a bent arm lock, which he accentuates with one of those forearm strikes I just talked about. Go for the lock and then elbow the forearm the guy in the face. And also in this section, there are a few instances of, grinding the nerve or the knuckles into, the nerves of the face or the nerves of the body in order to encourage someone to move, or to stand up from a sitting position, etc. Chapter 5 is on defenses against grabs and pushes. A lot of these wind up utilizing what in Aikido is called a Nikkyo lock. So, or sometimes called a Z lock in some circles. And in this instance, I do at least appreciate the consistency that, okay, this is the thing we're going to fall back on the most. Chapter 6 is defensive and offensive holds and throws. This section more closely resembles what I would come to expect from a judo / jiu-jitsu self-defense stuff. One interesting thing to me about the book is that we don't get a whole lot in the way of what we would typically see in judo as far as throws go. Like, there's no hip throws, there's no shoulder throws, taiotoshi, no sacrifice throws, any of that. In this instance, we do get an osotogari, but it's accompanied by, a thrust to the throat with the web of the hand. I kind of like that idea. Why not off-balance a guy by hitting him in the neck? Cool. And my cat's back. Harper, am I going to have to kick you out? I know. You're adorable. You need to stop. A lot of the locks in this section are used to off-balance the opponent in order to set them up for strikes. There are a lot of arm whipping motions and some wrist flex, like gooseneck or reverse gooseneck style wrist flexes here. So, again, we are still sort of absent what we would consider like more classical full-on throws. After that, we get chokes, and almost all of those utilize the jacket. This is the first time he is showing his partner with a jacket, although it does include your traditional rear naked choke in here as well. Chapter 8 is on striking, but it pretty much only shows two of them. One of them is an ear clap, and the other is like, pulling the guy into a forearm strike and a knee to the testicles. Now, Chapter 8 is on the Linck Stick, which is a stick about 6 inches long, and it's ergonomically shaped. You can hold it in your hand, and it's a yawara. He doesn't call it that. It's a Japanese tool called a yawara. Although I've seen some yawara that are like spiked on either end, this is blunted. But yeah, he shows that, and he gives examples of, swinging it, using the butt of it at a guy, or holding it so that it'll go like lengthwise in the fingers and thrusting it. And, he also relates these to, the pressure point charts shown earlier. So, pros and cons. As far as the pros go, I like that he has a lot of details on anatomy, but also details on timing. He's very diligent about, okay, you have to hit this like this thing goes before this thing. I do appreciate that. As an instructional, there's consistent use of terminology, which is definitely a plus. And I do like, technique-wise, that he is showing these grappling and striking used in conjunction. Using the standing locks to position someone so that you can strike them more easily. As far as the cons go, the most noticeable one is that because it's from 1943, the pictures are sort of grainy. Not great. I have a minor technique criticism. There seems to be an over-reliance on grasping the digits in order to get these further locks. You'll recall in my review of Lauren Christensen's extreme joint locking that he sort of did the reverse, which in my practice, seems to line up better, which is where, in order to attack the digits, you need to control the hand first, or, higher up, right? Now, because Linck does that in reverse, I do sort of wonder, if you start by grasping the fingers, if you don't immediately get some sort of torque going, why can't the guy just pull them out? I don't know. So I'm a little bit dubious about that. And finally, it works okay, but as an instructional, I think having more sequential pictures would help. I think that, this book could probably be 50% longer and give us more pictures of the things that are happening between the pictures we actually get. I'm sure that they were restricted by the resources of their time, but I think you could redo it today. I think it would be easier to understand and would have an easier flow today if that happened. So, recommendations. I like it to have a reference of, what was being taught as self-defense in the 1940s. I think that it's sort of a fun addition for that. I've been trying to track down if this jiu-jitsu lineage has continued. I haven't really been able to find that. So it's hard for me to recommend, if you're a student, I'm not sure that you would be. If you do have a pocket stick and you have no formal training for it, I think that the little chapter here is pretty useful for that. I also think it's good to look at the way the strikes and the standing grappling is used in conjunction. It is not presenting you a martial arts system. It is presenting you with a series of self-defense techniques based on certain situations and based on his understanding of this particular traditional jiu-jitsu system. So for self-defense, I think it has some okay stuff. It wouldn't be my first, second, or third choice. If you have a background that you wish to maybe incorporate some standing locks into, this wouldn't be bad for that. It's got some pretty solid stuff. So, maybe if you come from a traditional Aikido background, some of these techniques would be familiar, but maybe done in a different context, and this might supplement your own knowledge in that. So, I'm not sure it does well to stand alone, but I do think, depending on your various interests, it would be a neat text, to sort of pick and choose from. And I have it on PDF, which means that you can probably find it on PDF. So if you can find it for free, check it out. Anyway, that's all I got for this week. Sorry about the cat interruptions. She is cute, though. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.